to join me here in inside this time. I was really just planning on making this video outside, and I was also planning on scripting this video, but stuff kept coming up and whatever. But we're here anyway. So yeah, faith will change your life without fail, right? It has absolutely transformed my life, and I guarantee it will absolutely transform yours. And if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, but if you're new here or whatever, you'll know that I used to not believe in God. I used to be an atheist for a decent period of time, and that period of my life was pretty miserable, right? It was not a good time in my life. I was always, I had a lot of anxiety. I wasn't very sure of myself. I was struggling with self-esteem and low confidence, and by me rejecting my faith and rejecting God and believing there's nothing and life is just science and whatever, that only heightened those feelings of anxiety and low self-esteem and low confidence, because I didn't have that security, that sort of understanding that everything's in the end is always going to be okay, that comes with knowing that God is real. And it's kind of a funny story. So I'm a huge nerd, right? I love animals and life, and I'm not sure if the camera can even pick it up. My brother's riding around a foiler. And then okay, he's fine. Whatever, getting distracted. Yeah, so I'm a huge nerd, and I love, animals and nature, and I still kind of go through these phases sometimes, but back then I was going through a phase of really being interested in prehistoric life and like dinosaurs and how natural history happened and mass extinctions and things like that. And I was watching this documentary about how the dinosaurs went extinct and how the asteroid wiped them out. And there was a part in the documentary where it explained that if the asteroid that killed all the dinosaurs, right, if that asteroid hadn't hit the Earth at the exact time and then the exact place and the exact speed, I think it was even if it wasn't like the exact like shape of the continents weren't exactly the right shapes, the ocean currents and the wind wasn't exactly how it was, then that impact would have either been way too devastating, where it would have killed more than just all the dinosaurs and would have killed probably most of all the life, or it would have been not devastating enough and there would still be Tyrannosaurus Rexes around, right? And it hit me with that statement, and I realized, like, everything on this earth, everything in this universe, this solar system, is so perfect. Everything happened exactly the way it had to for human beings to exist, right? There's a lot that went into human existence, right? There was a lot of Earth's history, and all of Earth's history, somehow miraculously, all of the weird coincidences that have happened, all of the crazy mass extinctions, rise and fall of entire dynasties of species, all of it ends up accumulating and pointing towards humanity, right? All of it ends up making it possible for human beings to exist, right? The Ice Age happening at the exact time needed for humanity to spread across the globe to every continent. Everything happened exactly how it had to for human beings to become the dominant species. And that just blew me away. It's just like, is there a meaning behind everything? Is there a purpose behind everything that has happened in this world? And I started thinking about it more and more and more, and I realized that there is no way that the world can exist the way it is without there being some kind of creator. And what that did to me, what that happened was I realized that there is in fact a God, and there is in fact someone there who actually does care about you. And I started to actually pay more attention in church, because my family would go to church every Sunday. Even though I didn't believe in God, I would still go with them because I never told them that I didn't. And I would listen to the sermon. I would listen to what the pastor was saying, and I just started to realize more and more that the creator of the universe knows my name, right? The creator of the universe, the creator of everything in this world, every blade of grass, every ancient civilization, every stone, every volcano, every mountain was created by someone. They also created you and I, and they care about us. And I remember there's a story in the Bible, a parable that Jesus told, and I forget, the exact wordage of it, and I forget exactly what, book it's in or whatever. And it goes something like this, where there's two men, and one of them builds their house on sand, which, if you know anything about construction, building your house on sand is a pretty dumb idea. But he does it anyway. He builds this really nice house, and back then they didn't really use much wood. They would usually build out of like these like mud bricks, like I forget what it's called, like terracotta or something, I don't remember. And they would build out of these bricks, and they build these houses, and obviously they're made of bricks. They're pretty heavy, right? There's a lot of structure that goes into it, and they're usually pretty solid. But obviously it's built on sand. And so there was another guy, and he was smart. He built his house on rock, like just solid rock. And that's, as you know, if you know anything about construction, that's a pretty good foundation. And he built his house, and there was this huge storm, massive hurricane winds, right? And just demolished, this guy's house. This guy who built his house on sand. But the guy who built his house on rock weathered the storm, weathered the winds, and his house did not fall. What this means, with the moral of this parable, is there's a lot of different interpretations, but for my purposes of this video, is you have to build your life, you have to build yourself, you have to build your character on something that's real, something that's solid, right? Because I came to this realization a while ago that everybody, without fail, even if you're an atheist, no matter what you believe in, right? Everybody has a God. If you are an atheist and you don't believe in God, you believe in Jesus or whatever, you still have a God. And that God is usually like, a God is just anything that is the highest. In nature, everything, you can always point to, like, okay, this is stronger, this is faster, this is bigger, this is smaller. You can always point out things that are better or worse at certain things. And God is the apex. God is the best at everything. He is the greatest thing in the world, in the universe. He's the greatest thing ever. And if you don't believe in God, there's always going to be something in your life that is the most important thing that becomes the biggest, the most the greatest thing in your life, the thing you hold the highest above everything, that becomes your God instead, right? So if we want to build our lives on a good, strong foundation, on good morals, on good character, we have to put God, the God, no matter what you believe in, right? Even if you're not Christian, you have to give priorities, or you have to put something that's actually good for your soul, good for your character, as the highest thing. And for Christians, or for Jews or Muslims or whatever religion you belong to, that has to be your God. At the end of the day, it has to be God. Because if it's not literally the greatest thing in the world, the thing that can do no bad, the person who is infinitely good in everything that they do, if that person is not the highest thing in your life, then you're building your house on sand. And when bad things happen, when the storms come, and tragedy strikes you and your family or whatever, if you don't have that foundation, if you don't have that security that you can fall back on, knowing that everything in the end is always going to be okay, because it is going to always be okay, knowing that everything that ever happens in this world happens for a reason, if you don't have that knowledge, if you don't have that belief, if you don't have that faith in God that it's going to work out somehow, then you're probably going to fall. You're probably going to break down. You're probably not going to be able to handle the stress and the pain that's going to happen in this world. So build your house on rock. Build your life, build your house, your world around you, your character, on the strongest rock in the world, and that is God. That's all I got for today. And God bless you, and stay wild.